Welcome back to the channel, guys. On today's episode, I'm going to be doing the tile work as well as the grout work here in the bathroom. Now, in a previous episode, and I'll leave a link here for that video, I did all the prep for all the work done prior to the installation of the tile work. So this is the adding an additional subfloor as well as heated floor or in-floor heated mat installation, as well as pouring a self-leveling concrete mixture on top to encapsulate the heating coils. So I'll leave a link to that. Now, all of this is sitting on top of a Dri-core subfloor that runs throughout the entire basement area, and I'll put a link here to the video where I show you that full installation. I have a fourth video as well that shows a couple of the transitions where you're transitioning away from the Dri-core subfloor panel into, in my case, a mechanical room. So here, as you can see, I've got some very large tiles. These are 18 inches by 36 inch tiles, and I've got a few tricks for how to maneuver and place these tiles. Now, I did do these there's some special tools out there and stuff like that with wedges where you can utilize them to lift and push down different corners of the floor to get everything level. With tile this size, I don't like using those because if you do end up lifting part of the tile and you don't get any of your mortar underneath that, you can have problems with cracking or movement of the tiles. So if there was any unevenness, I did lift up the tile, put a little bit more material down, and then press the tile down again until I got it level. And that way I can ensure that throughout the entire surface of the tile I had full support of the thin set underneath that. Also went for a different style of thin set. There's different brands out there and different products within their range, but I did go for one that was designed for larger dimension tile, and it's just designed to be, you're able to put it on a little bit thicker to bridge any areas where maybe your floor isn't perfectly flat. Because I did the self-leveling cement to encapsulate the in-floor heat, I didn't have as much of a problem with that as if I had done this right on top of the Dri-core or right on top of the concrete, where there would have been a little bit more waviness perhaps to the surface of the floor. But here it was very, very flat because I used that self-leveling compound before. So without any further ado, we'll get right into the build. I got a few time lapses and that sort of thing that I'll show you now and walk you through the process of how I installed this floor. So the first step here is just to get everything wiped down. I don't like to have any dirt or dust or anything like that underneath the thin set when I'm setting that down. Now I'm going to be doing this tile job over the course of 3 days, and that's just from a sort of strategy standpoint. I want to make sure that these first row of tiles are square to the door, and that's kind of blocking my exit, I guess, to the bathroom. So what I want to do is get these first 3 tiles down on this first day, and then I'll come back the second day and actually use those 3 tiles as kind of my working surface to then get down the remaining of the tiles. And then the third day I'll come back and just do the little filler pieces that kind of go around the edges. So that's kind of my strategy. You will see I'm using vacuum sort of suction cups here to place the tiles. These are a really big lifesaver and made things significantly easier, and I'll fill you in on a couple of details of those later in the video. So in this shot here I am cutting out for the toilet. Now because the tile is so large it wouldn't fit in my wet tile saw that I have. So what I'm using instead is a diamond wheel on the on my angle grinder. And this actually works quite well. It is very dusty, so I do have a respirator on, and I do have safety glasses on as well to seal to my face quite well, because you are going to be shooting little pieces at yourself, and there's going to be a lot of dust created that's probably not the best to breathe in. And my approach with using this method was just to go at it really slow. So I'm not putting any pressure down really at all, and I'm just letting the wheel do its work and just trying to be as smooth as possible and slowly work my way through the tile. So back in the basement, once I had it cut out here, I'm just wiping all of the dust off from doing the cut, just so that the suction cups aren't going to slide off or break suction. So these are the ones that you pump up. So you can see on the right hand side there, I'm pumping up the pressure, and that little red mark, once it seals, will disappear. And that means that there's suction being head, and it's not going to let go. And so that'll also allow me to leave these on, and if I do see that red mark, I know I can't lift up on the tile, or that I will drop the tiles. Now, doing these test fits I think is critical, at least for myself, not doing tile work a lot. It just gives me a lot more confidence when I go to actually stick them down. If you're a professional tiler, I'm sure you would have done this whole bathroom probably in one shot, but I did it over the course of 3 days, kind of doing a row at a time, and then that allowed me good access. So you can see I'm kneeling on the tiles that I put down the day before. So now with the test fit complete, I can start mixed up another bunch of thin set, and then can place that down ready to lay these couple of tiles in. And I've also cut down the ABS pipe for the or what will end up being the toilet flange. Now when you are spreading out the material and using your tooth trowel, now these trowels come in different sizes, so you can get different thickness of your thin set. The thing to keep in mind is keep the angle of the trowel always at the same angle reference to the ground. If you've got, if you're holding it 90 degrees to the ground, you're going to get a much thicker coat on than if you're holding it at a 45 degree or a 30 degree angle. So you just want to stay consistent, and then that will keep the amount of thin set that you have down consistent across the whole surface of the tile and the whole surface of the floor. So you also notice there that I was coming back with a wet cloth, and what I was doing there and what I'm doing right here is just cleaning up any of the mortar that's sort of spilled out, and then also trying to get the mortar out in between the tiles where I'm going to be putting the grout, to make sure that I don't have any of the mortar sort of or thin set sticking out through that area, so that I've got lots of room to put the grout down. So here I'm a little bit low in this front right corner, and I threw a little bit more material in that corner and made sure that was flush. And that's where I find that if you do use the other tools with the wedges that would just lift up on that tile to get it to seat properly, potentially you wouldn't have as much thin set as you need under that tile to support that edge. And so you could have, just the corner of that tile that is lifted a little bit proud of the thin set, which could lead to a crack down the road. So that's why I prefer kind of the older method of going back and just adding a little bit more material into the corner to make sure that the tile is fully supported. So I got the grout mixed up here, and each supplier does have, how much water to add per bag or per quantity, but it's really hard to do that in the real world, especially when you're doing small amounts. So this is kind of the consistency that I get it to. It's, it's not going to fall off the mixing stick, and as you can see, we're mixing up a significantly smaller quantity than an entire bag. So, you just kind of got to do it by eye, and when it gets close to the consistency that you're looking for,
be really cautious about adding more water. You know, it's kind of like the last few drops will take it a long way, so don't be glooping a lot of water in there on your last go, or you will be adding a lot more of the dry powder to try to compensate for that. So here we got the bathroom all ready. So I've gone down I've gone around and I've sponged off all the tile, cleaned up all the tile. There's no mortar or anything on top, and we're ready to start applying the grout.
So I did have to go back here actually and just add a little bit more of the grout mix to my mixture here. It was a little bit runny from what I wanted it to be. Like, you just got to kind of play with it and get a mixture that is that's comfortable for you to work with. And really you're just trying to smear it into all of your joints. Now once you're done this, you come back with a wet sponge or damp sponge and a clean bucket of water, and you just wipe down all the tiles, get them as clean as you can, and then get a good contour to your grout lines. And then last step, you can come back and sort of buff off the tiles with a soft cloth to get any of the last sort of remaining residue off. Just take your time, take it slow, and make sure that you got good clean water, so change it out a few times. And depending on how much grout you've left sort of out on all the tiles, the more often you'll have to change out your water. Thanks guys for tuning in and watching the video to the end. If you do have any questions, concerns, comments about your own project, please leave them in the comment section below. I do try to get back to every one of them. We'll see you in the next video.